So we really had no idea what today may bring in terms of the actual attendance for an in-person event in our showroom after such a long time without having an in-person event. But I'm very pleased to see all of you here. Thank you so much for coming to be with us today. Let me do a few introductions really quickly before I forget to do so. My name is Gebhart. I'm the CEO and one of the owners of Global Views. My two partners, Lois Del Negro and Frederick Rayner, are here with us today also. And we have a very interesting 25-year-long relationship in this business. We started it from scratch, and here we are today, 25 years later, in this celebratory mood of actually being an in-person event in our New York showroom. We have our lovely showroom manager, Maura Murphy, here in the doorway.
Hello.
Maura is your go-to person if you have any needs in the showroom whatsoever. Also, we have Javier Ardila, who works with Moira every day here in the showroom when we don't have him out on the road helping us do some visual merchandising in different places. We have Angie Miller back in the same doorway. She's the sales representative for most of the Manhattan area. And then we have James Bertelson, who covers New England and Connecticut for the company. We have Pam Black, who does New Jersey and Westchester and Staten Island. And then we have Tim Gresh, who covers Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia for us. So we've got some great people here that know a whole lot about the company. We're a little different than some other companies in the industry in that we have our own dedicated sales team members who know the line backwards, forwards, inside out, and can answer any questions that you have about what's going on with the company. They are sales team professionals is the actual title that we give these people because they developed a really great career with the company being a professional help to our customers, which I hope all of you are customers of ours. Now, to get started with this conversation, we wanted to do something kind of informal and just have a nice conversation and discussion about the design process. And I could not think of a better person to have that discussion with than my good friend Ashley Childers. We have held off having this conversation here in the showroom with Ashley for the reasons of the pandemic and not having any kind of in-person events. We really scheduled this or wanted to do this in September of 2020, but obviously that didn't happen. So here we are in 2021, and we're glad to be surrounded literally in this room by everything that Ashley has designed and done for us as a company. This really is not everything she's done, but everything that you see in this room is pretty much an offspring from her collection and her own special take on what home decor is and what it means to be a heavy contributor in our industry to the design of really beautiful, elegant, really like timeless, I think is a really great word to use for your collection. So Ashley had her own company for many years with her husband Garrett, who I also failed to introduce. Here's Ashley's husband Garrett Childers over in the corner. Her biggest fan, I'm sure.
The cute one in the back.
She's got a lot of fans, and it's hard for me to imagine that she has a greater fan than her husband, because he's a great guy. Really great guy, really easy and fun to be around. We enjoy all the time we get to spend with him. So, Ashley had her own company called Emporium Home. Talk to us about the challenges of starting your own company from scratch.
Okay, well, so I did not start out in the home furnishing industry or in the design industry. I actually studied dance in college and had a dance company for 13 years. So really, getting into home furnishings was a surprise to me. My husband and I moved into a new home, and I was decorating it and trying to source. Honestly, it was lighting at the time. I was trying to find a really great chandelier for our dining room, and I just couldn't find what I wanted. I had a vision in my mind, and I couldn't find it. And I like to pride myself as being a professional shopper, so the fact that I couldn't find what I wanted was, blew my mind. So I started sketching some ideas and thought, if I want this, then I feel like there may be a place for it in the marketplace, since I can't find anything like this specific chandelier. And it actually was the agate chandelier over there. And so I was like, oh, we're just gonna start a home furnishing company, no big deal. I mean, we're just gonna, draw this up and have it made, and it's gonna be great. And obviously, it was not that simple, but it took about a year to get, I think I had like 15 SKUs to start, and developed them, had the prototypes made and all of that, and actually brought them to New York market in 2012. And we had like a tiny little booth. I think we were in one of the piers, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, and so that was kind of the beginning of Emporium Home, which was our home furnishings company. And we were very blessed to have really incredible press early on in the company, and we were able to grow, and I was able to do more things, and that kind of, I think it was 5 years in when we connected, I think.
To give her credit, and I know their line really well because as not part of her company originally, I envied the heck out of what she was doing. I looked with envy because she was doing stuff that no one else in our industry was doing. That chandelier that you see that she talked about designing for her own home, she was the first person I knew of to take an agate and cut it into slices and then arrange it in a circular pattern around a light source to create that beautiful agate chandelier. It didn't take too terribly long for other companies in the industry to take notice of what she was doing, and then they began to take agates, very clever, and slice them into those same kinds of patterns and light them from within, and created a lot of the exact same looks that she invented from scratch, which is really and truly her forte. And I don't want any of us to lose track of the fact that this woman has vision, and I struggle with where it even comes from sometimes because it's so creative and it's so beautiful. And it's not just about a chandelier anymore. It's the rugs that you're sitting on. It's the case goods that you see in this room. It's the chairs. It's the pillows. It's the lighting, the other lighting, brand new designs and lighting. So her imagination is really her greatest asset, I believe. And as a company, we're benefiting greatly from Ashley's vision and her imagination. Because, like I said, there's really not a lot of people that I know personally, and I work with a lot of really creative designers. We have a team of in-house designers that we work with at Global Views that are very creative, very talented in their own right. We also have licensing agreements with Williamsburg, as an example, Barbara Berry for decorative accessories, Roger Thomas, who was the executive VP of design and development for Steve Wynn's properties around the world, Forum Design Studio, which are two architects and designers out of LA that we work with, Ann Gish, whom we have a lot of bedding, a bedroom suite, a couple of bedroom suites, and some other kind of furniture that coordinates with the bedroom suite. So I've had my share of really working with some great, talented designers. And then along comes Ashley and her husband Garrett, and they say, we have this business, we love this business, but Ashley wants to just design. She wants to really just focus in on what she does and does really well, and that's design, because running one of these businesses is a royal pain. And I can't, I think it's probably become even a bigger royal pain over the last 18 months.
It takes a special person, and you're that special person.
It takes a lot of tenacity to keep a business like this going, and I think Ashley and Garrett are to be admired for working as hard as they did for as long as they did to keep their company going and to really make a name for themselves in our industry. Ashley was actually given an award, an arts award for Rising Star. And ART is the accessory resource team, and they don't give a Rising Star award every year. They get it very rarely, but she certainly got one very early on in her career because a lot of people took notice of the fact that she was this amazing force in the design world. This is kind of what Emporium Home looked like back in the day, and now this is what her collection for Global Views looks like today. Again, it's a total home decor statement that we're making with her products. And instead of putting just a few pieces into our collection as they got made or as developed or finished, it didn't happen that way because Ashley really wanted us to wait until the whole story was in place. So her whole story could be told very successfully and very completely to our customer base, of which most are interior designers, of which most understand exactly what she's trying to accomplish. So, what was your biggest challenges setting up those booths back in the early days?
Y'all, has anybody ever walked, like gotten to market early and walked through market before it opened? And I don't know if any of you have done that, but it's pandemonium and it's honestly kind of dangerous probably. There's stuff everywhere. Well, so Garrett and I, we did not know what we were doing at all. And we just thought, you know what, we're gonna do this ourselves. We're gonna build our own walls. We built our own walls. What were we thinking? We were also a lot younger and stronger probably. But anyway, so I mean, the challenge of just honestly everything, sourcing things and getting it in, but the markets are a lot of work. And we physically did the labor ourselves. Like we unpacked our crates and our marriage survived. I mean, it's amazing that it did. Anyways, but yeah, I would say just the challenge of, well, and one of the reasons you said, you know, when I had the opportunity to join with Global Views, it was at a time in our family's life that we had young kids and we were traveling to all of the markets and to all over the world to visit the artisans that made our product, and I just felt like I was missing out on my kids' childhood, honestly. I have to say that. And so David gave me the opportunity to be with them more, but do the part of the business that I love the most, and that is designing products. I admire design in every aspect, every category. I love interior design, but product design is where my passion is. I just love it. And so I was able to just focus on that, which has been a real blessing for me.
And as a designer, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Is it the inspiration or does the product come? And then you look around and you see inspiration around you and you say, well, I must have been subliminally inspired by whatever I saw there. So Ashley put together just a few of these inspiration boards that she's done over the years, just to give an idea of what kind of things she puts together that gets her on the track to get something completed. How much do you actually use these inspiration boards?
Well, I mean, honestly, I've never really talked ever about my process. David knows my process. There's actually a slide coming up I'm almost a little bit timid to show it, but I truly do create a concept, not necessarily inspiration from the feeling that I want to portray in the collection. So it's not necessarily an object or a place or whatever. It's like this culmination of the feeling that I want if someone were to walk in a room full of the product in that specific collection. So I think we've got this truly was one of my inspiration boards for 2019, and I do quite a few of these just to kind of create an underlying theme for what I want to develop. And this happens before I ever sketch anything. Are these mood boards that truly are kind of help me define the direction that I want to go for this specific collection.
One of the biggest parts of all of this, I think, from the inspiration boards that we do as a company, and I feel like what you do as well, is it gives you a color reference point too. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to develop a total home decor statement without having some really good specific color direction that you can follow that ties the whole look and the whole idea together as one unifying kind of force. And so, if nothing more, it's color, but it's also texture.
Texture, absolutely.
Shape.
Right. Yeah. Just, everything about it. The kind of the direction aesthetically that I want to go for that season or whatever. And I think the next one's
the one that you. This one is the one that is showing you a glimpse into the future of Ashley's next collection with us. Yeah. And again, it won't be launched until we have all of the components completed to create the total room story. We've already gotten the rug. The rugs are all done. There's some lighting pieces that are done. There's some ceramic and other decorative accessory pieces that are done, but they're all being held until we can go, ta-da, look at what this brain has created for our company to market and sell. So talk about this board.
Yeah, so when I started working on this collection, it was right before the pandemic. I guess it was at the very, very beginning of last year. And I kind of was materializing things and knew sort of a direction that I wanted to go. And then once everything started and we were at home so much, I really kind of refined that and knew it actually helped me create a better direction, because I wanted things that were a little bit more calm, a little bit more simplified, really honing in on the material mixes. And I'm actually using some materials in the new collection that I've never used before. I'm really excited about that. That in of itself is a huge component of developing product, is really getting the material selection and the finishes right. It takes a lot of trial and error, especially now because we're doing it kind of remotely with all of our artisans, but really honing in on that and making sure that the feeling that we create with this new collection is one that will resonate with people and what we've all been going through for the past year and a half.
The other aspect of this materiality thing that she's talking about is oftentimes you don't want to use necessarily the materials and the techniques that the factories we work with have done and perfected. So our job in a lot of ways is really to challenge those people and say, okay, that's the way you've always done it, but I'm envisioning you making the marble that we're going to use, for example, with this collection, incredibly thin, incredibly lightweight. I don't want a big chunk of marble for what I'm trying to create when I'm putting this collection together. So we do it constantly. She does it even better than we do in terms of challenging the factories to come up with new and different ways of doing what they normally would do. Because what they normally would do, chances are our competitors are already onto that. They're already doing a lot of those things that the factories normally do. So to just do more of what they normally do doesn't give you the kind of results that you're looking for specifically and that we're looking for as a company. The other thing about our relationship with Ashley that I want to stress is she's very unique in that she has owned her own business. She understands what it's like to work with these factories directly, and she knows we have introduced her directly to our factories, which is something we don't normally do with a licensed partner. Normally, everything the licensed partner does and produces for us comes through our design team to the factories. The factories have input, they come back to our design team passes it to the designer. Well, Ashley's taken a completely different approach for us, which I appreciate completely. She owns the whole communication process with the factories to get what she wants. So guess what happens? It's faster, it's smoother, it's easier, and she ultimately gets exactly what she wants. If she doesn't get what she wants, she doesn't want to move forward with the project. Is that fair?
That's totally fair.
Okay.
Well, and honestly, I really enjoy the process of working with the artisans in the factories. I cherish that relationship with them, and when I know them and they know me, we create something better together. Truly, we do, and that's part of the process for me. That the relationship part with David, the design team, the sales team, and then coming full circle to the factories is a part of the process for me that I really love and cherish.
And I cannot stress how important that piece of the puzzle is, because product development and product design, there's no handbook that says, here's what you do, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's all wing. You wing it the whole way, along the way. But if you've done it as long as I've done it, and if you've done it as long as you've done it, you really know the shortcuts that you need to take to really get what you want out of a factory, which is the ultimate goal for everyone doing product design and development, whether it's here at Global Views or with any of our competitors. They all want to do the same thing that we're attempting to do. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but there's an awful lot of really good design in our industry right now. It's really happening in home decor right now. We are all so fortunate to be involved with home decor at this pivotal moment in history where home decor is one of the most important things to our customers. And it didn't always used to be that way. I just hope it carries forward for a while into the future, that we can really look for our customers to just want more, want better, want higher quality, want something that's worth keeping for generations instead of using for a year and throwing it away. And I think that all of those things are really positive outcomes from what we've been through in terms of this pandemic as well. Just to break down the process a little bit, why don't you talk us through some of these very serious things here?
Yeah, this is super serious. Can't you tell? Okay, so this is, honestly, I've never shown anybody this except for David. So this is my process. So I get those kind of mood boards together, and then I spend several weeks sketching all these teeny tiny little thumbnail sketches. Like, I will sketch thousands of tiny little things, just anything that pops into my brain, and I really try to let myself wander down paths of shapes or motifs or anything that I don't really limit myself during this phase. I just kind of let it flesh it all out and let it go. And then I come back to all these teeny tiny sketches. Like, this is 5 pages of probably like 60 pages of these tiny little sketches. And then I go through and I really choose and weed out what I don't think will work and what I'm really excited about. And I found that if I can pick them, like I know which ones will sell. Usually, if I get excited about something and I'm like, this is it. Like, I really think that this is something that people will resonate with. Generally, it happens. So I just kind of have to trust myself in that, in the process. And as a lot of you do probably with your clients, you just have to trust yourself and they have to trust you. I trust myself in that, and then once I've fleshed all that out, I move forward to actual renderings of the product. And I'm old school, and I still render all of my products by hand because I wasn't formally trained, and that's just the fastest and easiest way for me to do it. And we have some incredible factories with teams of CAD, people, and they do all of the technical drawings, but this is how I draw my products.
The first time I really studied some of Ashley's drawings, the thing that amazed me about them first and foremost was that she also takes the time many times to watercolor them. So she can begin to imagine what finishes may be appropriate for different products that she's done these sketches of. And do you do these all with pencil and then overlay again with a pen, or how do you draw them?
So yeah, sometimes I do, or sometimes I just sketch them out with a pen, but it takes a lot of time too, especially with the furniture. There's so many little mathematical things that we have to figure out in advance, or technical things with the lighting. And so the rendering process takes me a long time. Really, the design process takes me a long time. Like, it's not fast. I take months to design a collection. And it's ever evolving, and I'm always designing, but when I sit down to do a collection, I usually do the entire thing. A lot of times by category, but sometimes I'll kind of go off on a tangent. I have a creative brain that just isn't always perfectly organized. But yeah, most of the time sometimes it's pencil, sometimes it's pen, and then depending on the amount of time I have, I do like to watercolor all of the product drawings, but this collection, there was a lot of products, so I didn't have time to do it.
Creative and organized are not two things that go together in most designers' brains, from my experiences.
I do the very best I can.
And you do a great job. Now I want you to tell these people the story that you told me, that you may not have shared with very many other people, about your old-fashioned overhead projector.
Okay. Okay. So I guess it was pretty early on. I was trying to figure out how to figure out all of the little dimensions of a product, whether it be a chest or a chandelier or whatever. And I was like, I really want to get a grasp on this, and I need it to be to a scale that I can really figure out, do I like it? Does this chandelier need to be 32 inches in diameter? Does it need to be 28? Does it need to be whatever it was? And so my mom back then was an art teacher, and she had an overhead projector. Do y'all remember overhead projectors? Like, we used it when I was in school. My kids do not know well, they do now because I have one in my house. But so my mom got me one of the overhead projectors from her elementary school, and I printed out all of my drawings on transparencies. And I just project them onto the wall at this life-size scale so I can measure everything out.
So ultimately, you scale the piece according to how the shadow of it or the
yeah,
line
I do, and then change it if I need to. But you know, if I draw something out to scale on a drawing, on a rendering, and I think, okay, this looks right, but then I project it, I really do. I mean, I can project it at the exact size I want it to be. I still do that, y'all. Get yourself an overhead projector.
And from my perspective as a business owner, what that allows to happen is the prototype that gets developed by the factory is 9 times out of 10 perfectly, correctly scaled. And there's not all these revisions and all this back and forth. And we've got to change the height of it. The height's completely wrong. The width is completely wrong. She's done that work ahead of time with this overhead projector routine, which I had never heard a designer using before. She explained this to me. So I found that very fascinating. I'm glad she shared that with you.
Wow. All of our secrets. Revealing all of our secrets.
You know what? They may be your secrets, but how many people do you think are going to take the time to do that?
But I hope everybody, or the stuff's not going to be right. I mean, some people print it out. I think some people print them out to see, full scale, which you can, but then you've got all the papers and they're giant overhead projectors.
So this collection is called the Spheres Collection, and you can see where it started, and we'll eventually get to some photographs of where it all ended. Yeah. And there's also some new pieces on here that are not part of the collection yet, but that will be, again, as soon as we get the whole package pulled together.
Oh, this is it?
This is it.
Yeah.
This is where you get to talk a little bit more about it all.
Oh, okay. So this is one of the new collections that we're in development right now. And it's honestly, it doesn't really tell the story. The material's so beautiful. I'm doing a really gorgeous kind of a lined oak, and then all the slats are actually like truly slats. So there's an opening between these two pieces of wood, and they're held together by these beautiful bronze studs, which is really cool. And I will say that the factories have always been gracious because I really do challenge them a lot. I mean, to come up with something, a concept or a design, is one thing, but to really be able to see that product all the way to fruition, to not just one prototype, but something that can be produced for hopefully years to come, takes a lot of thought and input from our factories. They're very good to help guide our direction and our creativity into something that can truly be manufactured. So anyways, I'm excited about this whole collection. There's actually more pieces of it, and I love getting to do different types of, take one kind of a theme and apply it to different types of products.
The other interesting thing I've seen on this new collection that she's working on is the boards where she's laid down the actual wood tones with the little metal stud tone, with the leather tone, and with the other pieces in the collection that are going to be done in the other colors and tones that they're going to be done in. It's very, very fascinating to see all that come together.
Thank you.
What is this collection going to be called?
This is Paxton.
Paxton. Paxton. There's a beautiful bed that's coming too, which we haven't done with Ashley yet. So that's an exciting development for us.
Yeah.
So as we look at some of the photographs of the real product, and you see some of it around the room where we're sitting now, but I think you can see that our team, the design team, has a really fun time playing with the products and doing photography with the things that Ashley develops. That is called the Rawling cocktail table, and it's right over there in the middle of the room. But look at that beautiful photograph of that bowl with the sitting on it, creating the shadows on the floor. It's just really beautiful photography. Here's a mixture of all things sphere-like or circle-like, and not all of them are Ashley's products, but it's just an example of how we're now taking her product and we're mixing it in with our product to make everything look more interesting and more viable for us as a company. Here are examples of the CAD drawings that the factories do for us based on her sketches. So they take a simple sketch of hers, and then they do all the mechanics of what it's going to take to manufacture that piece. And a lot of the factories now are sophisticated enough that they can feed the information that's in this CAD drawing into a computer, and the computer will cut the wood and all the components, and then it's all hand assembled, hand finished, and handmade. But these drawings and the computer aspects of what these factories are doing for us now have taken their work to another level, and there are opportunities to another level.
Absolutely, and this particular factory does a really incredible job at everything, and they even, down to all of the details, all of the metal details and the hardware, that's all custom cast for us. So, I mean, really the sky's the limit with them. You can just be as creative as you want, and they can realize it for you. They're amazing.
So this is kind of a take on a Mi Sandero kind of lounge, if you will, but it's different, it's unique, it's got Ashley's signature to it. The other thing I want to say about the design work that she does with us and for us is, most of the design team members at our company are men. We've got a lot of guys working there. We've got some women helping us on visual merchandising and other contributions to our design process. But Ashley has a really unique way of looking at everything that she does and making it not hyper feminine, but feminine enough that women gravitate to it. There's certain curves to it. There's certain non-linear aspects of the piece that women respond to much more strongly than they do pieces of furniture that look like a box, frankly. So
there's something for everyone, honestly, especially here. And the global use design team's amazing. But I mean, we all have our different perspectives, and that's what makes everything unique, in my opinion.
On this piece specifically, since it's sitting right here in front of us, I'd like to say that she built into the design a really nice kind of economical use of leather. Those seams allow us to piece leather together instead of having to use big full leather hides, which makes it a much more cost-effective piece of furniture for the factory to make and for us to wholesale to the design community. And both of the colors of this, both the milk and the graphite, both have done incredibly well for us as a company for a long time, and I anticipate that this is going to be a very strong design for a very, very long time for us.
Horse spheres. Well, that's new. Yeah. This one's coming, well, we don't know when. I mean, next year. Sometime. It'll be here sometime. That's just new. So a lot of times when we have a product that that our customers like and that they respond to, I do like to, try to create other options, different sizes or materials or whatever that kind of stay within that theme. And this is that. We wanted to do a bigger dining table. We needed something that seated more than 6.
As I observe what's happening in our industry, or what's going on in our industry, I'm always amazed at how, there'll be a really unique idea that comes from either one of our designers or from Ashley, and suddenly you start paying attention, and it's like the design community at large has had the same idea. That base that you see, that shape right here. How many of those are you seeing in the marketplace right now by so many other companies? And no one's copying anything. That's not what I'm saying. It's something that just permeates through our industry that a lot of people pick up on, and as a result, designers use it more and more because they're seeing it more and more. And I think it gives everybody kind of a comfort level with the fact that that conical shaped base on a round dining table is the answer at this moment in time, right?
Right. Yeah. But with a little spin.
A nice spin, for sure. So this is a wildly successful piece of furniture from Ashley's collection. It's called the Pivot Cocktail Table. And there's not one here in the showroom. And I love it and I hate it, both equally. When we're chasing something so hard and so fast just to try to fulfill our customers' demand for these things. But right now, if I had all the pivot tables in the world, I could make a lot of customers happy, but I'm having to really struggle to get enough pivot tables during this kind of time where we're having some real supply chain issues, let's say. This is called the Traverse Collection. You want to talk for a moment about how that's actually made?
Goodness, it's difficult to make actually. And we are launching another version of this. We're doing a cocktail table for next year, which I'm super excited about. Right now we have the console and a side table. And this is actually, the wood is bent, which, I mean, this is just a super complicated form. And they actually bend this wood, and then these pieces obviously are structure, but every single one of these curves is bent that way. Heat lamination, I think, is the way they do it.
First of all, the sub wood is normally a plywood type material, and they use heat and moisture to cause this bending action in these forms and molds that they prefabricate that will follow the lines of the designs that she has dictated. So. It's not enough for it just to come out of her pencil. It really has to be something that can be achieved.
Right.
And this is one of those challenges that they achieved, and they achieved it very beautifully for us.
They did, yeah. That's a challenging one. I have a little sound for every design that I look at. This is a fun little chair. I don't know. I don't even know why I came up with this. I just love I just thought it's the perfect place to sit and do your makeup for an evening out, don't you think?
Yeah,
I
can imagine that very well. And so lighting really quickly, because her first love and always will be her true love, I believe, is lighting design. And she's doing it in a very, very unique way than other people in our industry. So this is the Leo pendant. It represents the Leo pendant collection. And we sell this in several different formats, and they're all very, very beautiful. And here's a round one that has 20 drops on it, and those will drop down to almost 90 inches in the future, where we're putting longer guy wire leads on those so that it can be done longer, and you can customize the length that those quartz crystals drop down.
Absolutely.
To a bunch of different lengths, and it's all beautiful solid brass. And the factory that makes that for us does anything and everything that Ashley asks them to do, and does it just beautifully.
Yeah, they're a great partner. Oh.
Here's some watercolor sketches.
Yeah, this is the Ashton collection. So this actually took several years to come to fruition, because it's complicated, and the forms are complicated, the way it's put together is complicated, and it's LED technology. So we really are using a lot more of that, and I love using LED in our lighting fixtures, because it gives us the opportunity to really explore kind of some beautiful light output, I guess is the way to put it. This is another one of the LED fixtures in my collection, but I just wanted something that was, I love actually just kind of mixing up the shapes, whether we're going to be more geometric or kind of more circular and abstract. Just creating art through lighting I love design lighting. It's probably my favorite category to design.
This is called the convolution chandelier. There's a sconce and the chandelier both in this collection.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of accessories, there's a lot of really beautiful ceramic being made all over Europe and also all over Asia for Ashley's collection.
Yeah, I put this on here just because I wanted to. So a lot of times, most of the time, I do design product, in my studio and get it to the factories, and we work to develop it. But sometimes when I'm on trips with David and the design team, we actually design on demand at the factory based on something that we've seen there that they're doing. We're not ever going to go and pick something off the shelf of a factory. That's just not the way we do it. But sometimes they have a component that is so beautiful that we want to realize that in our own terms, in our own vision. So this was something that I saw at one of the incredible factories in Italy that makes the most beautiful ceramics, and they're huge. They make ceramic stuff that's just as big as me. I mean, it blew my mind when I went to this factory. It was amazing. But they had this vase with this handle, and I was like, we've got to do something with that. It's just too beautiful not to. And so literally, look at how awful those little tiny sketches are. It looks like snakes. I think I did that sketch in like 30 seconds, sitting in some tiny little back office with no heat. But that was the tiny sketch I did, and then this is what they realized from those. So I mean, obviously they're artists, like they're incredible. So that was one of the things I wanted to include, because it's not always just something that we plan out for months. Sometimes it's a 30-second sketch at a factory.
And sometimes those are the most rewarding.
Yeah, for sure.
More accessories in her collection. This is a really amazing piece. It is made to look like a chain link with an end on it. And in the future, there's going to be a very small hook that will allow us to hang these things on the wall. So it'll become a wall decor piece really soon in our future. There it is again, just in different kind of views that we've used it to take some really great photographs of it over the course of the last year that we've been working with it. There's accessories on an etagere that's part of the collection. This is one of the best-selling collections. It's called the Spheres Collection, and it's in a matte white and also in a really dark, beautiful bronze color. And the reception of those pieces has been really, really spectacular.
Locks.
Where did this idea come from?
I mean, I went to Paris, it's been years ago before they got rid of all the locks, but of course the love lock, like the bridge there with all the love locks, I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world, and so designed these kind of based on that, like loosely.
You can see them on the wall right there above the cameraman. Makes a nice wall decor statement, for sure. Sometimes we aren't sure how things are even going to be used. When they're first developed, it's like, okay, is one lock going to hang somewhere, or are we going to put 20 locks on the wall and like make people go crazy thinking they have to have 20 locks to redo their whole home? So it's fun that way. Ashley brought a lot of really great mirrors from her previous collection with her when Emporium Home became part of Global Views, and one of them is the Aquarius mirror you see on the wall over there. Each one of those individual mirrors are little convex mirrors that really create kind of bullseye looks around the central bullseye. This is called the Venus mirror, and it comes in a floor-leaning version and also in a smaller version as well, and they both come in a dark graphite gray color and also in a beautiful ivory, and both of them use gold. In fact, you use a lot of gold.
Yes.
Is that
I'm
just
from the
a
South.
personal? Is that just a personal thing? You're from the South.
Yes.
Okay. So Southern women like gold.
I think, I'm not using very much gold in the next collection, actually, no gold. I think we all are, gravitate towards different things at different times, and for a long time there was no warm gold in home furnishings, and then there was a little bit, and now there's a ton, and gold is always beautiful to me.
It's a fashion thing. It comes, it goes, it
Yeah.
comes, it goes, but it is a pretty steady kind of thing.
Yeah.
Everybody finds it
That's
attractive.
classic. That's never going out of style.
So there's also some other little mirrors.
Yes.
There's art that she's done, and these are all original works of art that she creates that we then reproduce in a printing process, and we frame them in different ways and make really saleable things out of them, like these pieces that you see here. They've done very, very well for us.
I don't know where we are. Oh, rugs.
Yeah, rugs is a very important part of the story here. In the Global Views collection right now, there are two rugs. The one on the bottom is called Tristan, and the one on the top is obviously called Marbleized. And we're now carrying these rugs up to an 11 by 14 size, all the way down 5 by 8, all the way up to 11 by 14.
Oh, no.
And here is a story you could tell.
Yeah, so I think when David and I were talking about just the process that I go through as a designer, I also just have a jewelry collection, so that honestly informs a lot. It always has, actually. I've made jewelry by hand for many years, and I think when I started designing home furnishings, so much of what I did was very jewelry-like, and I think it was because I came from that background, and so I still actually design jewelry and have a jewelry collection, and a lot of the motifs and things that I use, as you can see, like there's little spheres. So it will kind of permeate from home furnishings to jewelry or from jewelry to home furnishings.
Talk about your website.
What, AshleyChilders.com? I carry my jewelry on my website. I mean, you know, the jewelry is just something that I've always done and I love, and it actually gives me the opportunity to do a lot of photography and tell product stories in a way that honestly just helps me be creative and informs my designs for home furnishings.
And there we have that presentation.
Yeah.